Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Renu Sharma. Today I'm going to talk about the latest what's going on TR to PR. And second thing I'm going to talk about how to make sure that the forms you would be submitting, the applications form, IMM 0008 form, IMM 5669, and then the TR to PR pathway form, that 0130E and then 5406E, like in a correct way. There have been a lot of confusion, so I'll try to resolve them. That would be second topic. And the third would be I'm covering the FAQs, what exactly is the last minute confusion. And then I'm going to talk about the NOCs as I promised in my previous video in little more detail, along with a few more NOCs. So now quickly dive into our video part. So first and foremost, this is the status. So temporary public policies as of now. So I'm shooting this video around 12 a.m. It's almost like Friday here in Canada. So this is what the requirement is. Like workers in Canada, healthcare, the requirement is 20,000 of applications. And so far, if you see, it's 1,961. Now let's move on to the second, which is very much common. And I'm sure that 80% of the applicants are actually falling in this category. So you see here is 30,000 is the requirement, and it's just 14,863. Even last week when I have shooted the video, it was close to this figure. So there've not been much of the increment in this side. The reason is very clear, that you have to book for the IELTS. And for international graduates, of course, a lot of people came up with their IELTS score, since the requirement was for minimum of 8 months of score. So IELTS is valid for 2 years. So they had the documents. But again, in this category, there are a lot of rejections going to happen, I'm sure. I have been receiving a lot of applications, like a lot of queries through different platforms, and people are trying to asking for the refund. And I'll tell you how it actually works. So in case if you would like to go ahead with the refund process, there could be one reason, that if you have applied under CEC, that Canadian Experience Class, so it's better to go with one program. Like, there is no hard and fast rule that you cannot apply in multiple immigration program, but my advice would be to go with one as a consistent one. Now in case if you're looking for the refund, I would recommend that go for it, because you will be eligible for full refund in case if they have not started assessing your application. Yes, so IRCC would refund you only the right of permanent residence fee. In this case, in case if you have paid the processing fee, that the initial fee and then total 1,500 1,050, so your processing fee would be the only one, like that $550, that would not be refunded. However, the right of permanent residence fee would be refunded, that at $500. So in case if you think that your application is not complete, you can definitely take a call. Now my strong recommendation to all of you, whosoever is preparing the documents, because I can see that it's still not 50% is done. You have booked for the IELTS and you're still in process of documentation. You have time till November 2021, and this TR to PR, based upon the AORs, like people have started getting AOR. So AOR is again is an acknowledgement of receipt, and based upon my experience with immigration industry, AOR is just the acknowledgement. It's more like, in old times you used to get assigned, like people used to get the file number. So it's more like assigning you the file number, but the decision is still pending. They have not decided whether they will process it or they would reject it. Now in case if there's a paucity or any document is left around, they would definitely, the visa officer would approach you via email, the one which you have given, and then they'll take it from there, right? So just keep that in mind. Now moving on to the second thing, it's like complete application process. So these are the forms one has to fill. The generic application form, IMM 0008 form, that's for principal applicant. Now in case if you're married, you have to provide the additional dependent documents, like even if you're not, you have to fill that form. And then Schedule A background declaration is for the principal applicant, again 5669. And then additional family information for your brother, your sister, your father, your mother, because in any ways you're going to sponsor them, or they will be awarded with blood relation points in the future. And this Schedule 3, the temporary resident to like TR to PR resident pathway, it's mandatory. So it is again for the principal applicants. Now I'm going to quickly cover how it actually you can fill it up like last minute confusion. Now this is your travel form in case if you have traveled out of your country like India, and you've stayed maybe say like in Singapore for 6 months for say, and then in Malaysia again, or in Australia you have been on work permit and you were traveling, so you have to fill that document. Now just make sure that you provide the PCC, that police clearance certificate, with this. And I will also talk about the PCC biometrics and the passport thing and medicals towards the end, like in FAQs I will cover that too. Now let's quickly move on to the documentation part. Now this is the first form, IMM 0008 form, if you see here. So generic application form for Canada. Now you have to validate it. So a lot of people had confusion, do I need to sign it or not? Now let's move here. Now if you see here, it's clearly mentioned onto the website, but I'm going to read it to you guys so it'll be easier for you to understand. Now, in generic application form, if you see who must fill out this form, it says this form must be completed by you, the principal applicant. Okay. Now, you have to download the form and then it must be validated with 2D barcodes. Okay. So if the 2D barcodes are missing or can't be, machine read for any reason, the application will be returned to you without being processed. So just keep these little things in mind, because it's very easy for a visa officer to reject it because they don't have time. They have been receiving like thousands of applications. So for them, it's just that do or like reject it. Even for if you don't have one document, they probably would reject it. So just keep that in mind, that you have to make sure that you fill all the documents in one go. So you can hold on, don't rush the things, you still have time. So have patience and make sure that you fulfill all the documents, right? And if you go through this, you will see that they have even mentioned what exactly has to be filled in each and every column. However, still there would be confusion out there. So I will be able to help you out. So these are the things, you just have to go through it. Extra note for you guys. Now let's quickly move on to the documentation part. Now here again, you have to fill economic TR to PR pathway. So before I start here, I would strongly recommend you to please go through my earlier video. I'll share the link in the description box below. I have covered this step by step. So now let's quickly cover the part where the confusion would be. Now, when you scroll it down, this first and foremost, this form has to be filled by the principal applicant here. And in case if any dependent is there, there is a column where it says you can add, like you can remove the dependent if you are not married. And if you're married, you can just leave it like this. And you have to put the basic information for you and for your spouse. Okay. Now, this is the form you have to fill, and this is validated. Don't forget that you have to validate it. Now, moving on to the second form. This is IMM 5669E. Again, it's been filled by here by the principal applicant. You have to put your details over here, and then you have to put your additional information, your birth certificate, date of birth. Now, here is the thing. A lot of people had confusion, like if they have done 5 elementary or primary, then secondary or high school would be considered as in 7. And now in university, now in case if you have done bachelor degree, so it depends upon the duration of the course. Now in case if you have done BEd, now I remember during the time, it was around 2005 or 6, we used to have 4 years of BEd. So you can always put 4 year. Now in case if you have done graduation and plus the master, so for say BEd and then maybe like MA, so it's like 4 years of BEd and then 2 years of MA, so that goes for 6. It's not going to be like static 5 number. Now trade school or other post secondary school, now in case if you have done any IIT program or any specialization in any trade, so you have to put the number. Now in case if you have done the course for 2 years, so you can put 2 over here, and if it's like 3 years, you can put the 3 years. Now if you have done any postgraduate diploma, so diploma again, you have to put the certification over here, like type of certificate or diploma issued over here. But now diploma, you have to make sure that if you are getting it done for say from India, so in case if you have get it assessed through WES body or any educational body and it's been certified that it's not considered to be equivalent, so then whatever the degree you have done for say bachelor degree and postgraduate diploma, so you have to put the information of 3 over here. However, do make sure to put the details for your postgraduate over here. Okay. Now, in post personal history, again, you have to fulfill as it is mentioned here. So provide the details like in last 10 years. That is advisable. You don't have to go with since 18, because in case if you are like say 30 years, you it's relatively easy to go since 20 years of age. Then membership or association. Again, I didn't receive much of the queries over here. Now in addresses, make sure wherever you have stayed, like even if you've stayed during the time of your business trip for 3 weeks somewhere, so you have to put that information inside it. The only thing is that you have to be transparent with your application. So when the visa office looks at your application, it should be self-explanatory. So he doesn't have to look for anything. He doesn't have to call you up, or he doesn't have to even approach you for any documentation part, right? And this is how you have to do it. And you just put the name over here. Now it's name, and then I declare the information that I have been truthful. So just put your name inside here. Now, moving on to the third form, this is temporary resident to permanent resident pathway. This is again mandatory form, and this is for the principal applicant. So you don't have to give it to your spouse in case if you're married. So you have to put your information as a principal applicant and put your information in here. Like for say, if I'm applying under workers in Canada stream B, that is essential non-healthcare. So you select this option, scroll down the page, then you put the language test yes, and then CEC in case have you completed an eligible program study. So you can always put that if yes, then yes, if no, it's no. Then do you have at least 12 months of authorized part-time work experience in one or eligible in extra A or B? So you have to put the information whatever it is, like yes, it has to be yes, but at the same time you have to put the duration. Now here's the catch. A lot of people had confusion, what should we put in the NOC. Now for say if somebody has worked in as a cleaning like in a cleaning department, and his NOC is matching up. Now for 10 months he has worked in cleaning, and then 9 months he has worked as a cashier. So for cashier the code would be 6611. However, for the cleaning, the NOC will be entirely different. So if I pull the information here, it has to be in the NOCs. Let's go to NOCs here. Okay, so here's it. So in cleaning, if you go here, so you can always check the information uh, for the NOC that is close to your profile, like floor covering installer. Uh, in case if you have done something relatively like this one. So in 6733s, janitors, caretakers, and building superintendents. So cleaning is more close to this NOC. So you have to put 6733 in the first experience over here, and put the designation what you had here, like the employer name, and then your position over here, and then the second NOC. Now, just to clarify, in case if you have done or you've got the experience in 2 to 3 NOCs, doesn't make a difference. It's clearly mentioned onto the website. You can combine the experience from different streams, provided you should meet the criteria of 1560. That is the mandatory requirement. Now, here's another catch. Are you currently physically present and working in Canada with valid work authorization and temporary resident status? So it's yes. But a lot of people had confusion that what if they file the application now and they want to travel to India or maybe to your own country? Now, I would strongly recommend please don't go anywhere unless and until it's really urgent, because this is one time opportunity. Don't miss upon this. I would like to quote my example here. When I was getting a citizenship, we had a plan to go to India, to Chandigarh, and I had to literally cancel my flights because when I called up the office, they said it depends upon the visa officer whether they would reschedule the oath ceremony or not. So I did not want to take a chance because they clearly mentioned onto the line, it depends upon the visa officer. So everything is like gray here. So I would recommend don't take a chance. Please hold on to your decision or traveling. Just let it process and then take the plan. Now, list your current position and identify the dates of your employment. So again, you have to put the information of your current employment over here, and then just declare it and save it over here. Moving on to the next form, additional family information again is mandatory. So you have to put your principal applicant name and then date of birth, and everything goes here. Make sure you should be correct with your mother and father and your, uh, other children or brother siblings details, because as I mentioned in the beginning, you are going to sponsor them or they will be awarded with the blood relation points, so there should not be any conflict with that information. I hope I have been able to clarify the doubts over here, but if you have any confusion you can always write back to me. Now moving on to the next part, last minute confusion again. Medicals are important, but in case if you have not gotten it through, just submit the slip attached with your file, and make sure you attach an explanation letter. So that is mandatory, you cannot go beyond that, and I have covered this in my previous video again. So PCC again, it's a requirement, but in case if you're not getting it through, just add the explanation letter. But again, I'm saying that if only few days are left, so better to go with a complete application in one go, so visa officer doesn't have to approach you again and again. Now, there's one more question a lot of people had. What if I'm working as a self-employed? I have clarified again in the past, self-employed category would not be considered unless and until you are into healthcare industry. So that is one thing. Now, you have to make sure that you have 3 years, 1 year of experience in last 3 years. I have covered this. Now, if somebody is on parental or maternity leaves, now few of the people had confusion, so I would like to sort it out here. Now, you can see here, an allowance for a reasonable period of vacation time will generally be made in calculating the period of qualifying work experience. For example, if you are on 2 week period of paid vacation leave within a given 52-week period in which the applicant was engaged in qualifying work experience, an allowance for normal vacation time during a period of qualifying work experience cannot be used as a substitute or proxy for the meeting the in Canada element of the work experience requirement. So, in other words, work experience obtained outside Canada while the applicant was on vacation from their work in Canada will not be counted as part of the period of in Canada work experience. So while officers will account for a reasonable period of vacation time in calculating the period of qualifying work experience in Canada, each application is considered on its own merits with a final decision based on a review of all the app information available to the officer at the time of decision. As I mentioned time and again, it's only the visa officer. No consultant, even not me, cannot give the exact what's going to be in the mind of a visa officer. Sometimes I have seen in the past, visa officer can even reject your application even if he's falling short of one document. I would like to quote an example. One case had full documentation part, everything was crystal clear. The only thing is that they were lacking with one certificate where the applicant's name with date of birth with his father's name has to be there on that, so the application was rejected. And just imagine this can happen, so entirely in visa officer decision, right? So now again, please go through it minutely. The principal applicant should provide the copy of work permit. Now a lot of people had confusion. Now this is again another query. What if they have lost their work permit? Guys, work permit is important, right? uh, Consultancy may suggest you that, okay, let's submit the document, but you have to be very careful that you're submitting the case. So in case if the work permit is lost, make sure that you submit the supporting document, the letter of your employment, or maybe the pay stubs. Now, people did have confusion that what if they don't have the pay stub. Now see, pay stub is a requirement. Okay, let's get it clear. Now, in case if you're not able to obtain it for some reason, you have to provide with the T4 forms. Now, let me just clarify this one more time here. Now, first and foremost, when you get an employment reference letter, try to get the location of work. You know why they are asking location of work? Because people do work online, and if they are stationed somewhere, maybe in India or Australia, and they're working for the Canadian company. So that is the reason they are asking. The letter must include location of work, specific period of your employment. So you have to be very specific on the to or from dates. Again, even if you have worked for 3 months or 6 months, you get the letter as fast as you can, and then do have the description of your main job responsibilities. Now, as I mentioned, it cannot be the replica of as it's mentioned here in these NOCs. It's not possible. One person cannot perform all the duties. So at least get as many duties, whatever you were doing, like practical. Based upon that, the visa officer would be analyze and evaluate your application. So again, nobody can say that. So you have to be very clear and thorough with whatever they are asking. Total annual salary and benefits. So try to be more descriptive about it. You have to explain the number of hours. So I know it's tough, but you can get it done from your employer. If you cannot, as I mentioned before, just send the note, and even if it's no from their side, get attach that copy with your letter so that you did try, right? And then your employee's name, signature, full name. Now, if you see here, you must also include your most recent pay stubs. Now, they have clearly mentioned most recent pay stubs. Now, a lot of people had confusion how recent it has to be. Now, technically, if you're working for a company, maybe like for 9 months, try to get at least 6 months of pay stubs. Now, in case if you're working or associated with a company for, let's say, 6 months, try to get it for at least 3 months of pay stubs. Now, in case if you don't have pay stubs, which is hard to digest because pay stubs is something you are authorized to get here. Now, in case if you don't have that, try to submit the copies of T4 tax information slips and your notice of assessment. Or the work contract is again, if you're working on a contract basis, so send the documents pertaining to your job or pay stubs. So these are the things you need to submit. Now, in case if you don't have that, try to grab it. You still have time. So don't rush the thing unless and until your file is complete. Now, another thing is that what if I have arrived in Canada and are on quarantine with job letter? So should I apply? I would recommend please wait for it. Please wait for your pay stubs so that you can generate it for a month or so and then add an explanation letter and then submit the file. Okay. So this is another one. And then a lot of people had confusion here that what if you have applied for postgraduate work permit and still waiting for your decision what to put in IMM 0008 form. So over here in IMM 0008 form, you definitely can put like if your PG WP is still in process, you can put like student as well as worker because you have to show or demonstrate 1560 hours of your experience. So you can put that. However, you need to make sure you submit the explanation letter, and that is mandatory. Okay, so I think I'm done with the questions here, but there's one more thing. Now, if in case if you're unable to submit the PCC for some reason or medicals, just try to add the written explanation for each missing document. So that ways visa officer will be assured that okay, the file looks simple and sorry, the file looks self-explanatory, and there are the documents he will be asking. So they would simply ask you that can you please submit the documents, and then you can submit it through IRCC web form or whatever the mode they are saying. Now this I'm talking based upon the applications, what applicants who actually got in touch with me, and they have clarified that they have started getting the confirmation from the visa officer even if they're falling short of any document they have been asked to submit. So that's how you can follow the proper process. Now let's move on to NOCs here. Okay, so in case if you have any question, please write back to me. And again, I would advise you to please subscribe to my channel. So in case if you have any confusion, you can write back to me and you can go through all my videos in recently what I have been covering day-to-day basis. Okay, now let's move on to the workers in category, Canada under this category. All right, so I'll be talking more about the next year B because that's the one people have confusion. So first and foremost, the NOC what I'm going to talk about is 6622. Yeah, I know who's asked for. They were curious to know, and I'm sorry for the delay. Yeah, so 6622 is a store shelf stockers, clerks, or order fillers. Now let's move on to it. If you see here, the role has to be bag clerk, grocery packer, order filler, price clerk, and shelf stocker. So a lot of people had confusion that what if we are just working as a shelf stocker like in superstore, or if we go into Indian store like Sanja Punjab or Fruiticana. So basically, you are associated with a retail chain. And then again in supermarket clerk. So it's like in case if you are in a real Canadian superstore, you're working there. then of course you would be qualifying under this category. Now let's quickly jump onto the main duties, what it would include. Now when you pack the stuff for the customers, you kind of delivering them at the same time, so it's not Amazon. Let's get that things out. So it's more like, bag, box, and parcel the purchases for customers of shipment. You carry the customer's purchases to parking lot and pack in vehicles. I hope you're getting it cleared when I talk about this. Unpack products and then receive by the store and count and weigh them and then sort the items. Use the barcode scanning equipment to record incoming stock. So whatever you are getting the stock, and then you are verifying and doing everything. Sometimes you might have to sweep the aisles and dust display racks and everything, and then you have to fill the mail orders from warehouse stock. Now these all job responsibilities cannot be there with one profile. Okay, so again, if 90% of your job responsibilities matches with this, definitely you qualify under this. And the closest example for this is PC online grocery. So you must have seen that people book through PC online, and when you go there to pick up, so they are going to deliver, they will come out and then deliver you the grocery or whatever the stuff you have asked for. So the closest example is that. I hope I've been able to clear this NOC. Now you have to make sure that it is not equivalent to cashiers, because 661 is entirely different. You have to be very particular and specific while you're choosing the NOCs, because you are the best one to understand your responsibilities, right? So, and then it cannot be conflict with the material handlers. Again, 7452 is entirely different. Now let's move on to 7452 one more time. I did cover it in my past video, but just to give the clear vision over here. So material handlers is something people had confusion. So I'll try to resolve here. So material handler is more like, I'll just explain here. Now for say forklift operators are responsible for loading and unloading trucks, ships, freight train cars. So now let's go here. I'll just give you the quick example. It's more like that. This is one forklift uh, truck operator. This is only one. As I said, that it cannot be the replica of what it's asking for. Now it could be bin filler, it could be freight handler, furniture mover, material handler, as I hear. So you're basically loading and unloading and moving the products from one spot to another spot. Then you're operating the industrial trucks, tractors, loaders, and other equipment to transport materials. So it's more of that. So even if you are using railway cars or other vehicles, so somewhat is like in Costco. So I have seen a lot of people doing that kind of job. So when they actually, taking the stuff from one spot to another one, and they kind of transporting, and then using the transportation vehicles to elevators, bins, or storage areas. So in case if you are performing all those duties, definitely your job profile should match with this. So make sure it should not you should not get confused with these NOCs, because this would be excluded from it. Now let's move on to another NOC. So people had confusion about it. So this is more like a 6552. Now, in case if you're working as a customer service representative over here, so just make sure that you should not be working in the bank, because if you're working in a bank, you cannot fall in the 6552. For the bank, the customer service representative in financial institution is 6551. So just make sure. That's why I'm trying to bring this NOC here. So in case you're generating the inquiries, you're resolving the grievances of customers, definitely you are falling in this NOC, that is 6552. Again, don't confuse with 6623, because 6623 is for telemarketer, for salesperson, when you're actually upselling the customer, when you're selling something, maybe door-to-door selling, or it could be a street vendor, or a telemarketer. So that is 6623. So don't confuse 6623 with other NOCs, that's 6552 or so. Yeah, just keep that thing in mind. Also, I would again suggest, like, I've covered in my videos, but a lot of people still had the confusion that what if I'm working in Burger King, right? I'm able to get the responsibilities for cashier, or if I'm working in Tim Hortons. Guys, 6711 is the close NOCs. Even if you apply for it, I would love to hear in case if you get good response, because 6711 is closer to your profile, food counter attendant. So I'm afraid you will not be able to qualify under this category for as a cashier. So I hope I these are the NOCs I've just covered. And in case if you have any confusion, please write back to me. I'll try to resolve uh, as much as I can. Now, last minute thing I would like to also update here. June 21st, 2021 is a time when, Canadian government is lifting the borders. So whosoever is stuck out there in India, I hope, fingers crossed, will be hearing a good news about that. So June 21st, 2021, that is what the date we are expecting, and it's just a couple of days. And and in case you have booked for the IELTS, just prepare yourself very well, and make sure that before you clear your IELTS, you should be ready with the documentation, because it's again 14,863, long way to go. 50% still there. So a lot of work to be done. You have any question, you can write back to me. I'll try to help you out as much as I can. I had the understanding on the documentation part thoroughly, so I'll try to make sure that provide you with the information uh, through my channel, and you can always subscribe to it for future updates. Now, in case if your application is already going through different programs like express entry or CEC, I would recommend, in case if you've already got the positive response from them, it's better to go with one application so that you can at least get the refund. So what penny saved is penny earned, right? So why you want to waste money on processing fees and write a permanent residence fee in case if you already got the positive response from them? So just leave the spot for the other ones. All right. So I think that's all for today. If you have any question, write back to me. I will be back soon with another video by next week. Till then, take care and good day. Namaste.